into the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey guys, welcome back to AfterBuzz TV's Resurrection After Show. We are thrilled to have you. I'm your host, Zach Wilson. My fantastic panel here tonight, Chelsea Briche.
Get it.
And G. Madison, who is so into this music right now.
It was a great episode, and it just makes me want to dance.
I was just trying to get my tweet out is really what I was doing.
That's a great picture. It looked like they were doing the Thriller dance walking down the middle of the street this episode.
Look, at the start of this episode, it could have been like a scene out of Walking Dead. Like
You're right.
At that point, I'm like, is this where it twists and it turns out that the Returned are really just the origin story? This has all just been a Walking Dead prequel. Yeah.
I was like, please no, but I saw one of these and I was like, oh, they're gonna break out in choreography. I did. One of them, I think Margaret had a little twitch and she was ready to dance.
Yeah.
You didn't see it? No. I thought it was a great episode.
If Michelle Fairley wanted to just randomly break into a Thriller dance, I would just walk away from every TV show ever. Like, it'd just be like, that's it. That's it.
I thought it was great, man. But they had too many shots that were reminiscent of a Thriller piece or Walking Dead. And I mean, well, I'm a dancer, so I obviously see choreography in anything. Yeah. But I mean, just walking over the hill, all of them just walking slowly, and then all of them staring. It just was so reminiscent of so many other things. Before
we get too into it, we should say we're talking about episode 212.
Let's say it.
Steal Away.
Steal Away.
Yep. Steal Away?
Steal Away.
That's the name of the episode. Steal Away.
Like steal you away.
Like the preacher stole them away from the facility. I think.
Okay.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. Sounds right.
Whatever you're going to
say. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. If you don't know, if you're tuning in via iTunes or just the next day, want to let you guys know that with a lot of AfterBuzz shows, including this one, you can join us live at broadcast time on YouTube. You can if you go to the AfterBuzz TV YouTube, youtube.com/AfterBuzzTV, right before showtime, you'll be able to see all the live shows, and you'll be able to join in with us on the chat roll and let us know what you're thinking as the show goes on.
Which is really cool because we can see what you're saying right on the spot, and you can tell us, Zach, you're talking too loudly in the mic, and then we'll take those notes and apply them. But honestly, it's really cool to hear from you guys and knowing, what you guys found about that was really cool about this episode, because we may have missed something. You know?
It's a fancy new feature, and we want to know what you guys think, because we do the show for you.
Come on now.
And now let's get into it. Let's get into the trance. The trance that everybody wakes up in. It was creepy.
Yeah.
Super creepy.
I mean, can you imagine, I guess this is something that some people who deal with sleepwalking have to live with, or if you just drink a lot. You wake up in a place, you're just like,
Chelsea,
what? Your eyes open, and suddenly you're not where you fell asleep.
Right. And you're awakened by a gunshot. That's kind of a scary way.
I thought that was kind of smart of Fred, though.
Of course he shot. I mean, that's his way. But I mean, what a scary way to find yourself in the middle of the street, with a gunshot firing in your ear. But it was really scary too, because some of the return we have never seen before, so to see them standing there, and then the people who we know that are returned standing there and really just were zombies. Honestly,
you're waving your hand in front of their face, there's no response. I mean, what do you guys think if you wake up in that situation? How do you handle not knowing how you got to a certain place?
The Thriller dance. That's the only way. That's the only way out of it.
It's the only answer. It's the only cure.
It's the only cure. I mean, honestly, there's all of this stuff. it's never going to happen. It's really crazy. There's no way of understanding what we would have done if one of our loved ones was taken and then brought back, or even, I'm sure I would love to hear from someone who can type into us right now or tweet, what they've done since they, some people do sleepwalk. Yeah, I'm sure that's scary. They find themselves eating while they're sleeping, find themselves down the street walking, doing the Thriller dance.
I mean, you don't sleepwalk, you sleep Thriller.
Come on, you sleep moonwalk.
Oh my God, this is out of control.
That was pretty good.
Okay, that was pretty good.
All right, so they're staring up at Rachel's window, and I think I can't remember which one of you guys it was. It was Chelsea.
I did.
Who was just
deserves no credit.
Oh, it's Rachel's window.
Yeah.
And they're totally just tracking Rachel at this point.
Yeah.
The question is, after everything else that happened in the episode, do you think it was that they were drawn to the baby, or that
100%,
or were they called to the baby?
Because those are two very different things.
Right.
Did the baby control them and bring them there, or was it that they sensed this powerful being and they were just drawn to it?
Well, I guess that answer depends on if you think the baby has the power.
Yeah, but I mean, remember when Jacob, early in this first season, we saw that Jacob could sense other returned, right? Which was a big deal. So I think it's more. I think it's both, actually. I think they sense the baby, but I also think that the baby has called them to service in a way, which is kind of scary. So I felt like they were being uploaded with some information. And I was hoping that when they would come to, that they would have something and say, did you see what I saw? But obviously, we're just seeing someone else's dream keep coming up with the locust, or what is it called again?
The cicada.
The cicada coming out of the ground and going into this tree formation in the sky. So, I mean, I'm not sure. I do think they were uploaded with some kind of information.
But I don't think they remember it.
They don't remember it.
That would be interesting if they were sort of given a mission, they've forgotten it, and then they'll get it later. Mm-hmm. The moment there's the moment in that moment where we go up to Rachel's bedroom afterwards, and we kept freezing, and we're like, okay, what is that shot? There's a random insert of a flower and a clock, and we're staring at
this. We were so caught up on the clock.
Yeah.
Because the flower, at first it seemed pretty generic. It was okay, there's a flower, okay, whatever. But the clock, okay, 7:37 a.m. What does that time mean?
I think it's 7:36. Somebody tweet us and let us know.
So 7:37, that's like a 7:47. So it could be like a plane. That's
Is it military time? So is it 19?
We're not even going down either of those paths.
I know. But I honestly think that I think we missed out on what it was really about, which is probably the flower, which was reminiscent in the dream, right?
Yeah, well, it was the same flower that the preacher, and I mean, he brings it up, that the preacher and Bellamy saw.
Yeah, Marty go downstairs, that's when they mention, he's like, did you see that flower? It's the same. That was by the cicadas.
And the preacher eventually sees it as important because he's building his evidence, basically, his evidence log, saying, this is the Antichrist. I mean, he just straight up, he's like, this is the Antichrist. The beast, the devil, this is...
he's out for that baby.
He said everything that we were thinking was, and we didn't want to say it because we didn't want to get too dark about what this, what this episode or even this series or, or show could be about, that we didn't want to say, it's the Antichrist, that's kind of deep. But I think we were all kind of thinking it and didn't want to say it, but I think it was really a scene out of Law and Order with the preacher going from place to place, asking his questions. Seemed like he had an already predetermined idea of what he would do with information. So he was trying to pull it out of all of his resources, and we saw what he did with it.
Yeah, I mean, the preacher's storyline in this episode was pretty nuts.
Yeah. It was Law and Order. The way he went after it was Law and Order altogether.
I mean, he definitely had a motive. It wasn't, at no point in time was he ever really checking in on someone or wanted to see if someone was okay.
Yeah.
He might have asked the question for 0.5 seconds, but that's not, he doesn't care.
Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so...
great. Yeah. So tell me this.
He's investigating. He goes through and he's just like, okay. It is interesting, though, because he's such a... We know that he was a con artist in his first life. So now that he's back,
yeah,
is he conning again?
I think
Yeah.
people say once a cheater, always a cheater, but once a preacher, always a preacher. Maybe not. I mean,
But I don't think he's a real preacher. I don't.
Yeah.
No, that's a fair point. Like, he was known by the name preacher.
Right.
He was known as a preacher, but he was never.
But maybe it's
Before-
Yeah, he was never really, I guess, what a preacher is supposed to be.
And everyone said preacher, but I think Grandma Langston has no respect for him. Obviously.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
She's
zero.
like, it's almost like she knows him only as what he was,
Right.
not as to what he's been calling himself or what
Right.
people call him. So yeah.
Yeah, it's it's unfortunate. I mean, I would be tempted to say that he is not really, like, he's faking even his religiousness to some end that we have. Let's see.
Yeah, I think so too.
Except that we did see him alone in the church.
Having a seance or something.
Yeah.
But I think he was doing that. I don't think he was doing that like as a part of his religion. I think that was just part of this whole scheme.
But there was nobody else there. It was just him when he was like all sweaty and
Right.
like in a trance.
But you know how it kept going back flashes to the flowers? So I think, to me, I just took that as it wasn't him like having a moment by himself of religion. Like, I don't think he was doing that on his own time. I think for whatever he was trying to get to, if he was trying to get to the baby or make the flower connection,
Well,
to me, that's how I interpret it.
well, he did come out of his whatever that was theater moment
Yeah.
by saying, "This is going to be tough."
Yeah, and then he's like, I won't fail you.
So I feel like it definitely was a moment that he was having with his God, and was
maybe.
given kind of a. I think he's acting out of pure obedience. I think that he's being told to do what he's doing. I do think that he has some kind of knowledge of how to get by and how to trick people and things like that.
Do you think-
However, I do think that God or someone is telling him, how to keep this beast, quote unquote, from being born.
Yeah, I think I would say he definitely believes that he is speaking to God at this point, that he's getting
I
these
agree with you
visions
there.
and these messages. Like, he believes that he is talking to God.
Yeah. And he has the true answer. Like, this is going to be the
Yeah.
Antichrist. Yeah.
And it's scary to think about. Like, this guy's nuts, but he's a very persuasive nuts.
He had
But
all
at
those
the
people.
same time, I feel like they don't have anyone in the show being like picking up on vibes. I don't know if I'm such a vibe person, so I don't know if I just view it differently. But like, the second any new character is introduced, you guys always hear me. I'm like, oh, they give off this, or I think this.
It's
but
true.
like throughout all the episodes, no one's ever like, oh, I have a bad feeling about her. Like, there's no way that the preacher can sit with Marty or whomever and then just think that, like, he's the guy next door.
Yeah.
That he's chill. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
He's clearly, I don't think anybody's doubting that he's up to something.
Yeah.
That's just
But I feel
that's
it's
just them
always-
between men and women. Like, we just know.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
women,
if I was on the show, I'd have been like.
feel a certain way about it. And we're like, yo, I like this guy. It's great. Let's get a beer.
But then you'd be Marty later after, he poisoned all these people, be like, hey, guess what?
Stuck. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. Is he shows up at the facility and
Right.
he's like, I'm gonna give you all communion, like the blood and body of Christ, and then dead. Everyone's dead.
But I do have to tell you, I don't know if either of you picked up on it, when he was having that one-on-one with Margaret, and as she was thinking for a second, kind of like whether to go with him or not,
Right.
they zoned in on the wine cup in the little communion section for a second. Like, you could tell that she was zoning in on that. So I feel like she kind of knew what was up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
yeah,
You
no,
think
no.
that she knew she was about
for
to be
sure.
poisoned? See, I do too.
For sure. And
She's
that's why-
smart.
And that's why
Yeah.
there was a moment where no one got up, and obviously she, being a leader,
Right. She knew that if she got up.
if she got up, people would follow. So
Yeah.
I think she was thinking about not standing up,
I do too.
and just sat there for a while, and all right, let's go for it. I don't trust
Why
him,
do you
but I
think
trust
she got
him
up?
to get out of there.
She had agreed to help him. She wanted,
Like, what do you think it was the family? Like, her family that made her? Like, her motive?
because he threatened
Yeah.
her family effectively. He threatened her legacy. It felt like he was threatening to kill the
It
Langstons.
sounded like
Yeah,
that.
that's what I thought too.
Bless you.
Thank you. Let's hope I'm not getting the return
moment?
disease.
Yeah,
I'm channeling. No, it was just allergies.
Okay, welcome back.
But yeah, I think that she was trying to kill. Excuse me. Margaret thinks that the preacher is threatening to kill her family. I don't know that he would follow through on that, but we know that he's willing to poison all these people. Like at this point, but he's a dangerous man.
Yeah, but I think that there was some method to his madness. I mean, he wasn't just killing people; he was actually doing what he said he would do, which was free these people.
Yeah.
So in essence, he did a good thing in a negative seeming way. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe the preacher's just right about everything, and
maybe he's the Antichrist. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think
what if he's just right about everything?
Yeah. He came through with his plan. I don't think he was. It did sound like a threat. I don't think he was threatening to kill them, but I do think that he was saying that if you don't get out here and we band together, that they will be killed because this Antichrist. I think he was foreseeing what will happen if we don't do this together. So I don't think he was saying I'm going to kill them, but of course it sounded like I don't think she thought so either.
Too.
That he's, I mean, which way did you take it?
I took it that he was going to hurt the Langstons. Yeah.
And that's the only reason and I don't know that he necessarily would actually, but that's what he wants her to think, and because he wants her on his side.
Yeah, because if you put the fear of someone like in that way, they'll
do what you want.
Yeah, because as strong as Margaret is, she is ultimately powerless. Like, she can do a lot. Like, we saw in this episode how powerful she really is and how smart she is. In that moment where they're calling Robin up.
Yeah.
So
she steps in.
Sweet little Robin.
Yeah, she's such a scared little...
She's so scared.
I feel her, though. I'm scared of needles, too. I'm scared of needles, too. But she acted like that they were going to shoot the needle in her eyeball.
Yeah.
It's okay,
Robin
baby.
has some issues, I think.
But, I mean, they are held there captive. So, I mean, I'd be afraid to do anything as well.
I think here's the thing. It's like there's a clear, breakdown there where I feel like they could have just cleaned it all up very easily and been like, they're like, what are these tests for? We want to know why you're testing our blood and doing these tests.
They just could have lied.
They didn't have a good lie, you're saying?
It didn't even seem like they would have to lie if they're just like, you all woke up in a trance this morning that you can't explain, that we can't explain. We need to take some blood because we're trying to figure out if there's anything wrong before anything bad happens to you. That seems a reasonable approach to it.
Well,
where, if I woke up, nothing else was wrong with me, but I had been sleepwalking randomly with an entire group of other people, mass hypnosis. I would say, medical test. Get me in a CAT scan machine. Tell me what's going on up
Not
here.
if you were held captive.
Right, because it's such a different, this isn't just by random. They were brought back from the dead, So I think there's so much more that goes behind that it's just supposed, this happened on a Wednesday night. These people, they didn't know that they had any other connections.
Well, that's what, but what I'm saying is, these people don't know anything deeper about their being brought back. So to me, if I'm in that situation, I still want medical tests to know if I'm all right or if this is going to keep happening again. Is there a way that you can tell if I'm under somebody else's control or that I can regain complete control of my own body?
But you tell me, would you be comfortable there?
They're treated like they're not treated right.
If they were being honest with me, and that's the thing is that they're not. But it doesn't seem like it would have been a huge deal to just be honest, because
who's honest anymore?
Yeah. Because
he's lying.
Aren't you honest?
Marissa, are you honest?
Yeah, Marissa, our fantastic engineer.
She's honest.
She's honest. G's honest. We're not honest.
Yeah.
Me and Chelsea are
You have to have me sitting next to this one.
But the point is, Angela is not wrong when she says, we don't know if you will become a danger to yourselves or others. They have reason to hold them there. All they have to do is be honest about, like, that's why we're going to test your blood and put you through some medical tests.
Yeah, well.
And I feel like that calms everybody down because it sounds normal.
I get what you're saying. I agree with you. But at the same point, if you ever want anyone in a really manipulative.
This is a big word.
Right? Did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay, great.
That's like 12 points.
If you want to do that, then you need to make them feel comfortable right from the start.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, if they wanted that environment, then the second that those returned walked in the door, it should have been, you know, comfy pillows and good food and not like a jail. So I understand what you're saying.
Kind of amateurs with this, aren't they?
Like, God.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying the government's just horribly handling this.
Everything is so backwards.
Even at this point, though, and like you're right, it got off to a bad start.
Yeah.
But when Margaret walks in there and is like, we demand to know what these tests are for, why didn't she just say, like, it's to make sure that you're okay after this event? Instead, they got into like a pissing contest and like she left like ready to start a riot.
Yeah, and they even said the word a revolt. Are you going to start a revolt? And it's something that I, predicted last episode,
are you so smart?
Which there will be a revolution starting. And obviously there's going to be one starting from within, in a different way than I thought it would be. But I mean, I didn't think they even had a hold on anything when they said, did you search him? And no one said yes. He just said, I'll just have these. I just have my
But
communion.
Did you hear what he said? He said, these are my weapons.
Yep.
So he wasn't lying.
No, he was...
Just no one ever thinks, you know what I mean? Because he's a quote-unquote preacher, he means that with sarcasm.
And he wasn't searched.
Like with care, these are my weapons.
Well, they would have searched him. They would have been like, okay, you have a bottle of wine, some communion crackers. But they'd never. I don't even think they would think to test the wine for
right
poison.
Away,
he should have definitely came in there with Welch's grape juice. He should not have been in there with anybody's wine or any. Yeah, that's crazy. You're gonna get my people drunk in here.
They need to get government issue wine, like Dharma Initiative wine.
Kosher Welch's drink. Yeah, grape juice.
Get some Manischewitz up in there.
Not even. I know. I want that right now. Come on in here, preacher.
What's in there?
This is grape soda, which is something else that preacher should have brought in there. Nothing else. High fructose corn
we
syrup.
have drinking on set.
High fructose corn syrup. That's about it.
As long as it's in an AfterBuzz mug, it's totally fine.
Buzz. That's what the buzz is for. That's what the buzz is for.
But so before we get into Rachel and what's going on with Jacob and this prediction of mass returns, there's like a big drop of information. I want to talk to you guys quickly about how you can help us out on iTunes.
You know how to set us up. Look at you, Zach.
I mean,
Zach
all that
is a
stuff's
pro.
coming. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in again this week. Thank you so much for tuning in every week. You guys are why we do this. We do this for the fans. This is a fan podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. And the best way that you can help us out here at AfterBuzz, because we're producing just shy of 100 shows a week here at AfterBuzz TV. It is insane how many hours the engineers and the producers put in every week to get you guys this content absolutely for free. And the best way that you can help us out, go on to iTunes, hit the subscribe button, hit us with a rating, hit us with a review. It means the world to us. It lights up our faces when we see a good review.
Do we have any comments from last week?
We don't, and it makes me sad. I want you guys to go onto iTunes, help us out. It'll make It'll make Chelsea smile. Don't you want to see Chelsea smile?
Don't you?
Don't you want to see G smile?
No.
No. And there were crickets or cicadas.
Yep.
But yeah, so jump onto iTunes, hit us with a rating review. It only takes a minute, and it makes a world of difference.
Yeah.
So with that, let's get back into it with Rachel.
Poor Rachel.
Yeah, and they pointed out in this episode, she points it out, like, she's just always being chased by somebody, and I think she realizes at this point, it is never going to go away.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Especially if this child is what the return think it's going to be. I mean...
Well, even if it's not...
It is.
Do you?
It's going to be a ray of light. That's all going to be. It's going to be a ray of light going to beam out. Gross. Bright light. Not dark light. Bright light.
You think the kid's good?
I think no.
Okay, so it wouldn't be a bright light.
You're right.
Do you think it? Well,
Right?
She got me.
The preacher's asserting that it's the Antichrist in this episode.
Wait, but first, do we believe him?
Well,
See, I don't
Do you
know.
trust him?
he's basing it basically on revelations and like interpretations.
Revelation 13, yeah. Which is a scary chapter of the Bible. I don't know who's read it out there, but if you have, I want to hear your comments, because those are, I mean, it's the beast, the mark of the beast. It's a dragon that comes out of the sea. It's that deems this beast that looks like a leopard. I don't know if you guys have read it, but chapter 13 is quite scary. And it would be a Pixar movie if they would make something, if they would do a movie on it, because it's really scary stuff. So for him to see
A Pixar movie?
yeah, it was a joke. It's a bad joke.
Not funny.
But I honestly, you'll laugh later. Honestly, I do think it's a scary vision for a pastor to say that, because now I kind of believe it. And I'm worried, and I'm worried for Rachel. Really. Because she doesn't know what she's carrying, and obviously it's reminiscent
But
of
I
the
don't think
Bible as
she
well,
knows.
with being impregnated without actually being impregnated. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting the points they made. This is a baby who is gestated in death. It has never known life on the earth.
You're right.
I'm hoping that it's not it's not going the direction where it's like the Antichrist and it's like straight up like this is heaven and hell fighting it out.
Right.
Because there's a lot of religion in this episode.
So much.
as well.
It's
This
too much
season.
for my liking, honestly.
This season has gotten really heavy on, and like I get that that's
Yeah.
always the thread that's always been there, and
Yeah.
like
but we are
I like
just
that.
piling it on.
I like religious fiction. I think it can be very interesting, but it has to be a little bit less subtle than like dropping the Antichrist into this.
Yeah.
My thoughts, I think that it's going to be something that people are going to be calling it the Antichrist. I think this baby is going to have some abilities that are unpredictable, but I don't think it's evil, good or evil. It's just a baby. It's no more evil or good than any other baby out there is. But there is something special about this child. There's something that it's going to be able to do that is, or just by being there is going to change the world. But the baby itself is not inherently evil.
You don't think so?
No.
I hope not. I mean, but people always say don't talk about politics or religion because it'll stir up some pots of gravy, and this is obviously this one is a little bit of everything. Like we got government in it, and we got religion in it. So it's it's laced with confrontation and conflict and argument. So it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be deep.
Yeah.
But I do hope it doesn't come out with horns and a spiked tail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, Jacob says that when he
head's
sees
hurting.
Margaret, he says the baby's coming, the baby's in there. And it hurts me.
Yeah.
It's hurting me.
Yeah.
That's scary. I mean, what do you guys think at that point? That sort of feeds the Antichrist thought process.
Yeah, theme. Yeah, I mean, I did see him holding his head, and I was wondering.
a few times. And I think that's why he originally ran out of the house, right? I guess maybe to get farther away from it.
Yeah.
Is that what we took away?
Yeah,
I think
that's
so.
what I did too. Yeah.
But Jacob has also been able to feel a lot more, I feel like, as opposed to the other return.
He's been very like,
Right?
It's like I guess it would be the resurrection equivalent of like force sensitive.
Yeah, he has something that's more sensitive.
He's looking old now. He's looking like 50
Yeah,
years
he was
old.
walking, and you were like,
Walking like his back hurt. And I said, what? Jacob, you are 7 years old.
start running.
Yeah, you're 4.5. Please, just,
Yeah.
you're good. Have some milk, vitamin D. You'll
Yeah.
be okay.
I think,
But he's going through some stuff. Like, he's really feeling a lot more.
yeah,
Huh?
I think it's not that he's feeling like the baby is like trying to hurt him. I think it's that something
presence.
about
The
this
power,
baby is
yeah.
so powerful that he's so sensitive to it that it hurts. It's like an overload. It's like when a sound, like there's a really high
Yeah.
pitch
Yeah.
and it's just like it's so strong that
Yeah.
you're just like, ow, needs to stop. But it's not that it is something out there specifically to hurt you.
Right.
But why do you think he's the only one that feels it?
Deep. Another good question.
I mean, this is like, why has he been able to feel people more than anyone
Before?
else? I wonder if it has something to do with the Langstons, with the fact that he was born. Like, we could go back to the water,
Yeah.
the fact that he died in water, similarly to what we were thinking last season
Right.
a lot.
And I don't want to get too religious, but Revelations 13 says that the beast came out of the water.
There
That's
you
just-
go.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. Just say that.
And Rachel did die in water.
Yeah.
And didn't Jacob?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if Jacob's
like
the
the-
Antichrist? He's been there the whole time.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
he was the first return after a long time. They said, the government lady.
Well, Marty was the first one.
Right.
And let's
Oh.
Right.
I guess that's right. I never thought about
Right.
it
I
that
didn't
way.
either.
but let's talk about that, because that was a huge. It seemed like this really subtle drop, but when you think about it a lot, like what she said in that moment, where she's talking
there'll
about
be millions?
that one conversation, not just about the millions, but that one conversation about the comparing it to fault lines. This has happened for centuries. We've known that this has been happened. It's happened before. There have been mass returns before. It happens
But nothing like
unpredictably,
this.
but nothing like this. But just the fact that it's happened before, and they're like, it's unpredictable, but it has happened over years. Like it happened with Native
Like an
Americans.
earthquake.
It's always in this one spot. It's always in what is Arcadia.
It's Arcadia.
It was before
Yeah.
it was Arcadia, and it was a Native American land site. Like Native
Yeah.
Americans would come back, and they knew about that.
Interesting.
That is the first start of getting answers.
Right.
This is the first time that they've started to give us a little bit of an answer to what's happening here, in that there is some sort of scientific pattern to the process, just the way that there are earthquakes.
Yeah.
And I think that this is really going to be the mode that they sort of blame the returned on, is it's just a natural force.
Yeah. I just saw a movie recently called I Origin, and it has to do with the difference between science and spirit, or something you can predict and something that's unpredictable, something you feel, And this doctor was looking at numbers and science, and he didn't believe in a soul or a spirit or God, right? And it's just interesting because, I mean, I don't want to get too deep, but I do, because I believe in all of it. I think it's all connected. And this series, Resurrection, talks about and touches on, someone trying to schedule and pattern this situation. And what if there is no pattern to it? There is no, but humans need to know an equation for us to understand something. And that's why we're diving in going, but this doesn't make sense, and putting it together. And I wonder, I hope that it has that, but that's only because I'm human, that I want to know how this happens. And that's what she's doing in that room, with those equations all across the board, and saying that it happened before, and like an earthquake. I mean, we're trying to understand it as humans, but there's obviously much more at hand.
But Marty called her out on that too. He's like, you think that you're going to find all these answers with these equations,
trying to
and he
predict this? Yeah.
he kind of laughed at her. So that's a really interesting point.
Yeah, I mean, she's talking about it as predictive analysis,
right?
And she said that she can absolutely follow along, and she can see, like, she can predict when returns are going to pop up using the math. The only question is she doesn't know. They're missing one X factor as to why it happens at that time. What if it's really just it's all about Rachel? What if?
Well, they
what
said
if
that
that's,
there's someone that always sparks the return.
Yeah.
I just don't think they've understood who that always is. If it's always a child or, whomever. But
Right.
I mean, I think that they were implying in that moment that it is when somebody comes back with a baby, like to be born. Whenever there's a child born, that
A return born.
child.
yeah, that sets off some mass thing, and her calculations based on that, or based on whatever she is discovering, it looks like it predicts a worldwide now return for the first time.
Did you see that on the map? All those red dots that popped.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like the city, then the state, then the country. Then we saw it jumping over oceans. All over in totally different countries. It's like, wow, she was freaking out too.
Yeah, it's that's gonna. Can you imagine, like, and if you're worried about the Antichrist in any way,
right.
Now the Antichrist
be so
has his
many.
army of the dead.
yeah,
Right.
that's true.
Now you've got an entire planet covered in people that theoretically, if
Controlled by
if
this
the
being.
preacher is to be believed, are able to be controlled by Rachel's son.
And if we didn't see this trance happen, we would just call it, oh, we wonder what would happen. But we can already see that all of them at the same time, without their signing off, like they are called to duty, whether they say so or not. You know, like they're all standing there.
They don't have a
yeah. It's not like, well, I feel that. Do you feel that? No. They're there and they can't control it. You know what I mean? That's pretty.
That's what they were talking about.
Heavy.
That it's scary. You know,
that's heavy.
Do you know what happened to you? And no one had any answers.
And she said to Marty, "Aren't you? You don't seem very interested." He said, "Yes, my body. I couldn't control my body this morning. Yeah. Of course, I'm interested. Like, I want to know what's going on."
Yeah, he's like, "Are you like Marty? Are you effing kidding? Like, yeah, I want to know."
Yeah.
I think everybody wants to know at that point. But what's the scariest thing is Angela's look at that moment where the screen just like it looks like it has chicken pox because there's red dots all over it.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. Like if you look, like there's bigger clusters in like China, and
I was looking at that too.
Yeah.
It's that's gonna change. What's cool is that offers a change in the show. If we do get a third season, that offers a completely different direction because suddenly we can go outside of Arcadia for a moment and see something else, see something crazy.
Yeah.
And speaking of what's to come, why don't we move into predictions?
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
All right, so next week, our season finale. Season finale. Hopefully not series finale.
Right.
I've been keeping it just before we get into the deeper predictions. We should predict whether we're going to get a season 3 or not. Unfortunately, TV by the numbers, which is a pretty good, TV by the numbers is they're not always right because obviously they're not in those meetings, but they have a pretty good hold based on ratings and just reactions from like different networks that have spoken.
I don't like their predictions.
The cancellation bear, as they say it, the cancellation bear from the TV by the numbers. Unfortunately, has a very low chance of pickup for Resurrection.
Can we all just say "aww" together?
I'm going to say that we're going to get one.
Yeah.
Okay.
And well, the best way that you guys can there is actually something that fans can do about it. If you want to see more Resurrection, if you want to see more return, well, yes, that is true.
Then return yourself.
You got to start tweeting at ABC.
Okay.
Tweet at ABC. Renew Resurrection, I guess, would be the hashtag.
I follow them now. I'll tweet them.
Yeah.
And
hashtag
your one tweet
Renew Resurrection.
Everything.
Powerful.
They pay attention to G. Madison the Fourth.
They do. They do.
Who wouldn't? You know.
Don't be sarcastic.
But yeah, you guys can help out. Tweet at ABC because you never know.
You never
know what thing they're going to see and make the decision based on.
But
let's talk about next week's finale episode.
Let's do it.
What do you think?
I mean, it looks like they're because now Margaret knows, and we saw her at the end of this episode talking about
behind the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, creeper. We saw her go back to the church and say be like, I know where she is. So now that we know that the preacher knows, and they're gonna storm there,
news.
And he's gonna try to kill Rachel and kill that baby.
Oh my God! You think he's gonna kill Rachel?
Well, yeah. I mean, when they show the previews for next week and they show those however many people in the house like going crazy, that's just too much for me. I'm just not on board
because you're a lover, not a fighter. That's why.
Yeah, and I don't appreciate any of that.
I mean, it looks like it's going to be an intense finale because it looks like the group is going to storm the house.
Right.
I mean, you have a situation now. I wonder if we're going to get a return of the True Living group. And they would effectively have the same goal in this moment
to kill this baby.
I don't even think the baby's going to be born next episode.
Oh, it better be born by next episode.
I'm going to go against you and say it's not born.
So you're predicting the baby will not be born. That's a bad prediction. Give us a better prediction.
Okay, give me a second. Let me think. You go.
I think the baby is going to be born, and at that moment, it is going to somehow pacify the entire whatever scuffle fight is going on downstairs, either just by Rachel coming out and people are like, wait, it's just a baby. We can't kill a baby. Or like it asserts some control over the mob.
You can't. That's my prediction. You can't just jump in and do 2.5 predictions.
Can I do another one? You can tell me if you.
Go.
Okay. What if the baby's just born and then we just cut off not knowing if it's good or bad?
Oh.
That's mine.
Yeah, I have a.
Don't take it.
Okay.
So think of a new one.
Well, G, what are you thinking? Regardless of what's been said,
as soon as the baby's born, they're all gonna break out into Thriller. No. Okay, so no, I do think they're gonna, obviously bust in the house, do the whole thing.
Right. What if Rachel's gone? That's my new prediction.
If she disappears.
Rachel's gone.
Well, I do think giving birth to the baby is going to kill Rachel. I think Rachel's going to die after she gives birth to the baby.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not going to come back?
And the baby being born is going to, that's what I was going to say, is going to freeze everyone, and they're going to be stuck. Just like they were at the top of this episode.
And then the baby's floating in space in a little orb, and it's 2001: A Space Odyssey.
And then it goes.
You got it.
Ba, 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 ba.
No, it's gonna be a really cool episode. I do think we will not see the baby though. Before the season is over.
Okay.
I think we won't see the baby.
I think we are going to see the baby right at the tail end of the episode. But the big.
You said we're going to see the tail of the baby?
No, right at the tail of the episode, we're going to see the baby.
You think the baby has a tail?
No. But I do think one of the last images that we're going to see in this season, hopefully not the show, but this season,
the foot of the baby
is going to be. There's going to be just a ton of returned in some major city.
Yeah.
Like New York City,
all in the trance,
or LA is just like all of a sudden a bunch of dead people. Like Elvis starts walking around.
Okay, this is true.
I hope not.
Not Elvis specifically.
Elvis is still alive.
But I think we're gonna see a city full of returned, and that showed teasing like a crazy world where there are undead people everywhere.
I want to know what the rest of the world thinks about this crazy stuff that's happening. I feel totally closed off.
Exactly.
I feel like I'm in the jail with the return.
You are.
It's not fair.
All right. Well, until next week's potentially explosive season finale. G. Madison, where can the people keep up with you?
Where can I tweet you?
Well, you can stalk me. You can do all these different things. I will not call the police on you. I need friends. But you can find me on Twitter at GMadison4. That's G Madison. Spell out the and the number 4 TH. Or you can go to gmadisonlive.com and come check me out and hang out. How about you, Chelsea?
My Twitter and Instagram handles are at cbriche, CBRICHE.
Just one E.
Just one.
Yeah. Not two.
And you guys can follow me on Twitter at Zach Wilson, ThatZachWilson, and also on a bunch of shows here at AfterBuzz, including Agent Carter, Grimm, Better Call Saul coming up in February. Guys, I'm Zach Wilson, and thanks for geeking out with us.
Wonderful, guys. See you.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.